Hello and welcome to our lesson on adding negative integers. In this lesson, we'll expand on our previous knowledge of positive integers and the four operations by introducing you to the addition of negative integers. Our primary focus today will be understanding how to perform addition when dealing with negative numbers. 1. We will start by discussing what negative integers are and how they relate to positive integers. 2. Then, we will learn the rules for adding negative integers, including how to handle combining negative and positive numbers. Then we'll apply this new knowledge to various examples to solidify our understanding and see how these principles are used in practice. In our previous lessons, we've built a solid foundation by discussing positive integers and understanding that they are whole numbers greater than 0, negative integers and understanding that they are whole numbers less than 0. The four operations, mastering addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with positive numbers. With this foundation, we can now introduce the concept of adding negative integers. This technique is pivotal as it expands our ability to perform arithmetic with a broader range of numbers, such as settling debts. Similarly, this new knowledge lets us tackle problems and equations where negative numbers are involved, enhancing our overall mathematical fluency and problem-solving ability. Let's get started! Alright, let's dive into the main part of our lesson on negative numbers. When adding negative integers, we need to consider two main cases. 1. A negative integer plus a positive integer. 2. A negative integer plus a negative integer. We'll handle each case separately to grasp the rules and techniques involved. Case 1. A negative integer plus a positive integer. To understand this, think of a number line. When adding a positive integer to a negative integer, you begin at the negative integer and count to the right by the value of the positive integer. For example, let's do -3 plus 2. First, start at -3 on the number line. Then count forward 2 units to the right. This moves you to -2, then to -1. So -3 plus 2 equals -1. Let's see a few more examples. Let's try -5 plus 4. First, start at -5. Then, move 4 units to the right, -4, -3, -2, -1. You get the result, -5 plus 4 equals -1. Let's try another example, -7 plus 3. Start at -7. Move 3 units to the right, -6, -5, -4. So -7 plus 3 equals -4. We can generalize this as adding a positive integer to a negative integer is equivalent to adding a negative integer to a positive integer. This is by the commutative law of addition. We can write this as -a plus b equals b plus -a. It is also true that adding a negative integer to a positive integer is the same as subtracting the absolute value of the negative integer from the positive integer. This can be written as I plus -b equals a minus b. So, if we have 5 plus -3, 5 plus -3 equals 5 minus 3, which equals 2. We can explain this using the number line. When you add a negative integer to a positive integer, the movement is towards the left, decreasing the value of the positive integer. Case 2, a negative integer plus a negative integer. In this scenario, think of the number line again. When adding two negative integers, you begin at one of the negative integers and count to the left, more negative, by the value of the other negative integer. For example, -3 plus -2. Start at -3 on the number line, then count backwards 2 units to the left. This moves you to -4, then to -5. So -3 plus -2 equals -5. Let's see another example. -4 plus -3. We start at -4 and move 3 units to the left, -5, -6, -7. So we get -4 plus -e equals -7. Let's generalize this. Adding two negative integers is equivalent to adding their absolute values and then placing a negative sign in front of the result. This can be written as -a plus -b equals -a plus b. So if we have -5 plus -3, then we can say -5 plus -3 equals -5 plus 3, which equals -8. Let's explain this using the number line. When you add two negative integers, the movement is towards the left, making the result more negative as you are effectively combining their absolute values to reach the new position on the number line. By using these rules and visualizing the process on a number line, we can confidently add both positive and negative integers in various combination. Now let's practice with some examples. Example 1, simple addition of negative integers. Let's consider the first simple case. In a financial scenario, let's assume you owe someone £3, which we represent as -3, and then you borrow another £2, another -2. To find out your total debt, you'll apply the rule of adding two negative integers. The rule states that when adding two negative numbers, you add their absolute values and keep the sign negative. Therefore, we will add the absolute values of -3 and -2, resulting in 5. We then keep the sign negative, giving us a result of -5. Therefore, you now owe a total of £5. Example 2, addition with negative and positive integers. Now let's look at a more complex scenario where we add a negative integer and a positive integer together. Assume you earned £4, for which we use +4, but then you lost £2, which we represent as -2. To figure out your financial standing now, the rule here tells us that when a positive and a negative integer are being added, we subtract the smaller number from the larger number and then use the sign of the larger number. So we will subtract the absolute value of -2 from 4, which results in 2. As 4 is larger than 2, we use the positive sign, giving us a result of +2. Thus, you now have £2. Example 3, adding multiple negative integers. Finally, let's consider a scenario where you have to add multiple negative integers. You owe £2, which is -2, £3, which is -3, and another £1, which is -1. We'll apply our rule from the first example. This rule, once again, states that when adding multiple negative numbers, you add their absolute values and keep the sign negative. Therefore, we will add the absolute values of -2, -3, and -1, resulting in 6. We then keep the sign negative to get -6. Therefore, your total debt now is £6. In today's lesson, we explored the addition of negative integers, an essential skill for broadening your arithmetic capabilities. We began by considering two main scenarios, adding a negative integer to a positive integer and adding two negative integers. For the first case, we visualized the process on a number line, illustrating that adding a positive integer to a negative integer involves moving to the right, effectively reducing the negative value. We discovered that this is equivalent to subtracting the absolute value of the negative integer from the positive integer. In the second scenario, we examined adding two negative integers. Using the number line again, we saw that this involves moving further to the left, increasing the negative value. This is akin to adding the absolute values of both negative integers and then placing a negative sign in front of the sum. By understanding these rules and visualizing the process on a number line, you can confidently handle the addition of both positive and negative integers. This knowledge not only enhances your arithmetic skills, but also prepares you for more complex mathematical problems involving integers. Keep practicing these techniques to solidify your understanding and improve your problem-solving abilities. Watch the rest of the GCSE Maths course at Sophos Education.